Good evening and welcome to the Adobe Women's FA Cup 5th round draw. We are live and exclusive on YouTube. I'm Flo Lloyd-Hughes and this, like I said, is the Adobe Women's FA Cup 5th round draw. Please stick with us. The draw will be starting in a few minutes. This is the place where every team will hope to be on Sunday the 18th of May. It's the Wembley dressing room. It holds so much history for the Women's FA Cup and lots of teams will be hoping they can get their hands on this trophy as well. Let us know where you're watching today. Let us know who you're hoping your team might get as well, and make sure you of course like and subscribe to follow all the action on the Adobe Women's FA Cup YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be joined today for this draw with two legends. Jen Beattie, 4-time FA Cup winner with Manchester City and Arsenal. Jen, so great to have you with us. And Rihanna Perara, our content creator for the Adobe Women's FA Cup. A lot of people will be familiar with Rihanna's face because you've been all over the Instagram and TikTok for the Adobe Women's FA Cup. Guys, amazing to be in this room. Jen, you've sampled the Wembley dressing room before. What's it like to be in this space when you're sitting waiting to play in an FA Cup final?
Oh, it's the best. I mean, I feel like there's always naturally going to be a few nerves around, but that's what the progression of the women's game has had. Obviously, it's been here for a number of years, but to be playing at the big stadiums, that's what every player dreams of, playing finals at Wembley in front of your friends and family. So there's always a few nerves, but it's always such an exciting, fun day.
And Rihanna, this is such an iconic trophy. It's such an iconic competition. As a fan, what's it like to be part of history with this draw, but to really go to Wembley and experience that final as well?
I mean, it's magical, really. It's the magic of the FA Cup. But I think, for me, one of my favourite things about the competition is the earlier rounds when you get to go and you open your eyes to so many lower tier teams that maybe you wouldn't have watched before. It's hard to access, I guess. You wouldn't have taken notice of, but it opens so many people's eyes, not just my own, but so many followers of the women's game. And it's such an amazing chance for lower teams, not only to put themselves up against the best, but also to attract new crowds, and it's really special.
Well, we've got to talk about some of the 4th round games because there were some big results and some big wins, especially for some of the WSL sides. Let's talk about Manchester United, who beat West Brom 7-0 on Saturday night. A hat-trick for Rachel Williams, an absolute screamer from Ella Toone. Jen, they're the holders. They were here in May last year, beating Tottenham Hotspur. They must feel pretty good after that 4th round result. Absolutely,
and I think, you know, the magic of the cup, it doesn't really matter who you're playing against, whether it's lower tier teams or teams in similar league. To see the likes of Rachel Williams get a hat-trick and get on form of what United have been playing at, and then of course every United's fan's dream is to see Ella Toone back in the side and scoring absolute screamers. So, you know, to have that bit of success that they had last year of lifting the FA Cup at Wembley, they'll want to keep this run absolutely going the way that they go. So, huge result for them. 7 goals was brilliant, and they're in the mix.
Rachel Williams as well, Rihanna, such an iconic Women's FA Cup player. She's been playing women's football in the WSL, played for England for so long now. She's a player that really feels like she's part of the competition's history as well, so great to see her perform so well at the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Rachel Williams, the first thing that comes to mind when you hear her name is goals. You see her coming off the bench, that is such a terrifying sight for whoever the opposition is, no matter how high or low ranked you are, because she is such a prolific goal scorer. She will always find the back of the net, and in the last 10 minutes she can do so much damage.
And I know you've also been to see Rugby Borough in this competition. You went to their 3rd round game. Huge win for them over London Bees. That fairy tale continues, one of the lowest ranked teams still in the competition. What's it like to see their success this season? It's been an amazing story to follow.
Yeah, they've been amazing stories to follow, I guess, for the last 2 years. And watching them and what they're building is really, really exciting. The squad that they've got at the moment is absolutely remarkable. Even at the game at the weekend, 6-0, but 4 different goal scorers. I think that says exactly what they're building at the club. The squad depth is unreal.
And Jen, when you go to a team and you might be the underdogs, which Rugby Borough could end up with this draw coming out and facing a WSL side, what's that like? What does it feel like, you know, if you're on the WSL side and you've got someone who fancies their chances for a cup set?
I mean, that's the beauty of the cup, right? You never really know what's going to happen. It's almost like every round is a final. But that again is what makes this tournament so exciting for every fan watching and every player being involved, because selection sometimes might vary at different rounds that we see over the cup, but I think every team is in it to win it, and that's, you know, every team deserves to be in this round, so we'll see what comes out of it.
And Rihanna, another standout performance we have to talk about was Chantal Boyle-Lorca's perfect hat-trick against Fulham at Craven Cottage. Left foot, right foot, header. Lionesses, they are obviously having a fantastic season, but that was a really standout result.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, left foot, right foot header in 8 minutes, her first professional hat-trick too. So it's an amazing occasion. What a game as well. I think this is what's so special about the FA Cup, like we continuously talk about. But Fulham, a tier 5 side, one of the lowest ranks in the competition for that round, to then host a London City side, such an incredible London City side, but to do it at Craven Cottage, a crowd of 2,000, it's such an amazing opportunity that Fulham have really embraced. And despite the result, I think there's so many incredible things to take away from that performance.
Yeah, definitely. Right, well, without further ado, shall we get cracking with this draw? Right, just a reminder as well, this is the draw for the 5th round of the Adobe Women's FA Cup. 23 teams remain in the competition. Obviously, we did have some postponements over the weekend because we couldn't have everything right. We couldn't have the British weather play ball as well. So we've had a few postponements. So you may find that it's a bit of an and or an or draw. We'll have 2 teams on some of the ball numbers, but we're going to run through as well some of those postponements and the matches that are going to be rearranged. So we have Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United. That game is going to be played tomorrow. Leicester City versus Stoke City, and Blackburn Rovers versus Portsmouth. That game is going to be played on Wednesday. Then we have West Ham versus Liverpool on the 29th of January, as well as Arsenal Bristol City, Brighton Hove Albion versus Durham, and Everton versus Tottenham Hotspur. All those games are going to be on the 29th of January. So, are we ready, guys? I'm going to read out these 16 ball numbers. Okay, so make some notes maybe because we've got some double up. So here we go. Rugby Borough, ball number 1. Number 2, Leicester City or Stoke City. Number 3, West Ham United or Liverpool. Number 3, Arsenal or Bristol City. Number 5, Chelsea. Number 6, Sunderland. Number 7, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Number 8, Brighton Hove Albion or Durham. Number 9, Newcastle United. Number 10, Blackburn Rovers or Portsmouth. Number 11, Manchester City. Number 12, Aston Villa. Number 13, Everton or Tottenham Hotspur. Number 14, Manchester United. Number 15, Crystal Palace or Sheffield United. Number 16, London City Lionesses. Okay, guys, it's your big moment coming up. Jen, if you would please put those all-important balls into our bowl. Make sure they're all out as well. Rogue ones. Perfect. Give the ball a little swirl as well, so we know it's all present and correct.
They're all there, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much, team. Okay, so Jen, you're going to be selecting our home teams, and Mariana, you're going to be selecting our away teams. Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's get started. All right, Jen, our first team out the hat, please.
Number 7.
Number 7, that is Wolverhampton Wanderers, 3rd tier side, into the 5th round for the 2nd consecutive season. On a very good cup run, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Number 14.
They will be facing Manchester United, the holders, out early. That is a huge home tie for Wolves. Wow, well done, Rihanna.
Good number this. Number 5.
Number 5, Chelsea. The big guns are coming out early, guys. WSL side Chelsea, obviously under new manager Sonia Bonpastor. They will be wanting to win this competition.
My good number. Number 13.
Number 13, that is Everton or Tottenham Hotspur. That game's still to be played.
Number 10.
Number 10, that is Blackburn Rovers or Portsmouth Championship teams at home to...
Number 6.
Number 6, that is Sunderland, another championship team who came through a big 4th round win yesterday.
Number 11.
Number 11, Manchester City, one of your old sides, Jen Beattie, and they are going to be at home to...
Number 2.
Number 2, that is Leicester City or Stoke City. I think Gareth Taylor will be happy with that 5th round draw, guys.
Next one is number 15.
Number 15, Crystal Palace or Sheffield United, still to be played. That fixture taking place tomorrow.
Number 9.
Number 9, that is Newcastle United. Interesting tie for them. You wanted them to potentially have a WSL team, Rihanna, so there you go. Good tie for Newcastle.
We've got 12.
12. That is Aston Villa at home. A huge win over Bristol Rovers yesterday. A hat-trick for Gabby Nunes.
Number 8.
Number 8. They will be playing Brighton and Hove Albion or Durham. We're getting to the last few now.
Number 1.
Number 1, Rugby Borough at home. Who are they going to be facing at home? Here you go, Rihanna.
Well, the pressure's on here now.
What can you make happen for Rugby Borough?
It is number 3.
Number 3, West Ham or Liverpool. So they will be having a WSL clash. That is exciting news for the Rugby Borough team.
Number 4.
Number 4, Arsenal or Bristol City. And the last ball, who is your old side going to be facing in this one, if they get through in the 4th round?
Number 16.
Number 16, London City Lionesses. That is an exciting potential London derby if Arsenal do beat Bristol City. So, guys, I want to react to some of those ones. I think, for me, I have to talk about Rugby Borough, getting a WSL side, West Ham or Liverpool. You've been following their story closely, Rihanna. Are you happy you managed to draw that draw for them?
Very, very, very happy. I think Rugby Borough are such an ambitious club as a whole. So I think it's really good to put themselves up against the WSL side and see where they're at. And it's just a good test no matter what the result will be.
And Jen, obviously Arsenal still have to play Bristol City at home in that rearranged fixture happening on the 29th of January. How do you think they'll feel about playing London City Lionesses? Because that is a team, ambitious championship team. If they do get through, they have to play that game. They, trying to make things happen, trying to get promoted. That could be a tough 5th round game.
Yeah, look, and it's hard to talk about that one just yet because they're not quite through. Of course, there's still 90 minutes of football to be played, but I think any team at this stage in the competition just wants to be at home. So for them to be at home in front of home fans, regardless of who they're playing, every game is really tough. And like what you said, what London City have been doing, and again, scoring loads of goals at the weekend again. Every team is a top team at this point in the draw, but they'll be happy to be home for sure if they get through.
If they get through, the big if. Let's have a look as well at some of the reactions on YouTube to the draw as we've been doing this live on the Adobe Women's FA Cup YouTube channel. We had someone from Hearts say, "Woo, Wolves versus Manchester United, knew it," in all caps. Wow, that crystal ball was working well. Mark, tough draw for Brighton or Durham. And Peter Walker, yeah, good draw. Well, shall we recap the draw then? Let's have a look at those all-important 5th round ties that will be coming up on the 8th and 9th of February. So, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Manchester United, the holders. Chelsea versus Everton or Tottenham Hotspur. Blackburn Rovers or Portsmouth versus Sunderland. Manchester City versus Leicester City or Stoke City. Crystal Palace or Sheffield United versus Newcastle United. Aston Villa versus Brighton and Hove Albion or Durham. Rugby Borough versus West Ham or Liverpool. Arsenal or Bristol City versus London City Lionesses. Of course, we have all those rearranged fixtures to go. Guys, we obviously had a big reaction from the YouTube audience around that Wolves versus Manchester United fixture. We're talking about fairy tales here. We're talking about cup sets. We talked about the amazing draw for Rugby Borough. But Wolves at home to Manchester United, I mean, they may be looking at putting that one in Molineux, I'm sure, to fill it. That could be a tough place to go for Manchester United.
Yeah, look, again, I think when you're playing at home, no matter what level, and you've got a WSL top team coming at home, and that's just such a huge opportunity for any club. Again, it's the beauty of the FA Cup to have big fixtures like that. Draw in as big a crowd as possible, see what your team's capable of doing, and grow the game, because that's what every player has a responsibility of doing that right now. But a cup set, as you said, would be a really tough one for Manchester United to take at this point, given that they're the holders already, have had the success of last season. But every game is a big game, and there's some tough draws that have come out today.
And Jen, what's it like as well if you actually still have to play that game? What's it like when you know you've got fixtures coming up and you've still got to play that 4th round game, but you might already be thinking, I want to get to the final?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's probably the most classic cliche player thing, that it is one game at a time, and they probably aren't thinking about it just yet. But of course they'll be tuning into the draw and prepping every way that they possibly can. But I think the players over the break have probably had enough rest, and they're ready to get back to it as quickly as possible. So no, they'll be desperate to play any game, whether it's their next League one or an FA Cup one.
And Rihanna, you've been around a lot of grounds this season. You've sampled so many different atmospheres and fans. For fans that are maybe looking to get to their first Adobe Women's FA Cup game, how can they get involved? What's the best way to get stuck in and follow this competition?
I think just get yourself there. I think it can be quite daunting for people to go into new experiences. There's a lot of people that you may not know, but I'd say grab a friend. You don't even need a friend, and head down to a game. There's such an amazing community in women's football, and I think that's what's so special and unique is you'll end up talking to the people who are sat next to you, and there isn't a quiz on the door about the offside rule, and you don't have to know every single technicality about football to go and enjoy the game.
And of course, if you can't make it to a game, we'll be streaming some of those matches on the 8th and 9th of February live on the Adobe Women's FA Cup YouTube channel. So, of course, make sure you like and subscribe and follow the channel so you can watch some of those fixtures as they come next month. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you had fun. Very powerful role and you smashed it. And thank you at home for joining us as well. We will see you for those Adobe Women's FA Cup 5th round games next month.